looking. He's going to heave one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone. It's a touchdown, and the Gators have won.
I don't even know why I played the intro. It wasn't necessary. We don't deserve the intro right now, boys and girls. Well, good thing is, okay, some positives. Let's go over the positives. Georgia couldn't even cover the spread. So as far as I'm concerned, Georgia's washed up. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't even cover the 22.5 point spread that they were supposed to roll us over with, so they're trash. They should be concerned with Tennessee next week. Look, Stetson Bennet got rattled like I said he would and did not look very good. Thankfully, they have 18 running backs that could just mull people over. Second, there's some grown boys on that Georgia team. That's some stupid boys on that team. I know we're all frustrated, and I'm frustrated with the rest of y'all. Y'all go watch the stream and me through the game. I'm hot, I'm spicy, but those some big boys. We don't have anybody on our team the size of those guys except Anthony. Those tight ends were massive. Their linemen were massive. Where they're finding them, I don't know. I feel like those guys came out of a science project. Those weren't actual human beings that went to a school a few years ago. No shot. Those guys were created in the Georgia lab. Full believer on that. Those were ridiculous. It was unbelievable how big they were. Like that one guy, Washington, was just like towering over everyone, like just a grown man. Bowers, it was ridiculous. I don't know where to stand because I was calling for Anthony to be pulled out of the game, and then all of a sudden we make this ultimate comeback, and it's like, holy shit, we're in the football game, and then we just forget how to play football again. I don't know why the inconsistencies. I don't know where that comes from. The defense looked better, surprisingly, on the second half. They made some changes. Again, I think Stetson got exposed a little bit. I don't think Stetson's that good. Our D-line was still getting ran over. If they just would have ran the ball, it probably wouldn't have been as close as it was. Because when they run the ball, we couldn't even keep up, to be honest with you. So, again, a lot of things that we got to get fixed out still. I think I was hoping for more progress than what we got. That was my biggest thing. With 2 weeks, I felt like we could have came into this game with more progress, with more of a just looking like things got better. Trey Dean played a lot better. Our play calling adjusted a little bit. Offensively, though, look, guys, I think AR is really starting to lose the faith. I mean, I know a lot of you are already calling for his head. I was a big defender. I think he's a great kid, great guy, but there was just a lot of questionable decision-makings that were made, in my opinion. Questionable throws, poor throws that should have been just easy 1-2 catches. The play calling, again, to me, obviously, was a little bit sus at times as well, too. It felt like just a lot of curl routes. And when I could see it, it looked like the wide receivers were getting separation, but AR just took too long to throw, took too long to make a decision. There was a pass up the middle to Montrell Johnson. I'm sure you guys all remember it. He threw to Shorter, and Montrell was wide open. What's his reads? What's his progressions through that? I don't know. And I don't know enough to be able to speak on that, or what was he thinking, what was going on. I'm sure I'll watch the breakdown, the Gator breakdown vid, and be able to have a better understanding and better, what's going on, and watch that film. I love watching it anyways, and see if I can see what was happening. He'll explain it too, like, hey, maybe AR wasn't reading his progressions right, or he's reading too quickly. That was an issue that Danny Thompson spoke on earlier in the season, and maybe it's still happening. I don't know. I know that the questioning for Billy and that time management towards the end there. Again, it's hard in the moment to kind of call out those things. They're poor decision making, but you're playing the number one team in the country. You kind of got to risk it sometimes, and I'm not gonna really hold it that granular right now. I'll go back and kind of watch it and talk about it tomorrow in tomorrow's stream. But if I'm Georgia, I'm nervous. Couldn't even cover the 22.5 point spread. And I'm watching the recap here. That touchdown with Bowers, that Bernie popped it up. They scored on that one, and then the last touchdown before the half. That's 14 points that were basically unexcusable, in my opinion. That could have been easily avoided. Right now, the Bernie one, that one's kind of like a fluke play, but again, two big plays there. That's 14 points. Who knows what would have happened? And again, that's just, time will tell over that. Being comfortable with the team and with the coaches. Again, my biggest frustration is just the lack of energy, the lack of will and hunger that I felt the entire time. That's where my biggest frustration comes from, and it will continue to be there until I see that these guys are like hungry. Trey, look, we are all frustrated with Trey. Trey played well, so we can't say anything about Trey. I know we're all frustrated. I know you guys are frustrated. I haven't read the chat just yet, but if you guys are brand new here, make sure you guys like and subscribe, show some love. But Let me see what you guys are saying. Ugg is so nervous. They are nervous. They couldn't even cover the spread. The defense did get a lot of stops. The defense did play well. I don't think Kitten starts next week. I felt there was plenty of opportunities for Kitten to come in, and Billy didn't take advantage of it. Honestly, I really felt like there was plenty of times where it's like, look, like things aren't looking good. We need a spark. Let's throw on Kitna. I would be shocked to see Kitna next week, to be honest with you. Look, could it be like if I'm AR, there's no way you go to the NFL. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. And like, if that's the case, do we invest in him and continue to work with him? And look at like a Hinder Hooker situation. 5th-year senior, the guy was kind of mediocre through his Virginia career, transfers to Tennessee, and now he's a Heisman favorite, probably going to be a top quarterback now in the draft just because of the year that he's having. And it's look how long it took him to get there. The guy didn't just wake up and was a baller forever. I mean, Stetson Bennet, he's a 25-year-old senior. These guys, these teams that are beating us have guys that are going to collect Social Security in 2 years as their quarterback. They got guys that have been sitting behind somebody forever. They've got to learn the offense. They've got a billion reps underneath them. I mean, that plays a huge role in just the ability to learn your offense, understand what's happening. And both of those teams that are kicking our ass, Will Levis, all 3 of these teams that are kicking our ass and taking our names have a old man at the quarterback position. When's the last time we had an old man at quarterback? In my opinion, it was Kyle Trask. The guy sat forever. Finally, his senior year, he was able to come in and he dominated because he was able to sit behind somebody for a very long time and get comfortable. Now, he did come in for 1 year and ball out, but he had time to learn the offense and develop it and see a bunch of guys in front of him, do well. And obviously, we were kind of a one and done type of situation because of it. Now you got a young guy, Anthony Richardson, who had 1 year that sat behind Emory Jones, who really wasn't the best person to sit behind, with an unorthodox offense, with a toxic working environment, as we've come to know with Mullen and whatnot. It's a lot was going on. Again, I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to point out the facts of the situation and what's at hand here. And I think there's a lot. Those are definitely things we have to look at. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. I don't know what you're saying. Mullen was right about what? Yeah, based on what I saw, I think Tennessee's going to roll Georgia. Their defense wasn't that great. Billy's talking right now. I'm going to pause that so I can watch that here in a minute. Billy looks like he's crying. Watching Billy here. Give me a sec. He just said guys could play better. That's the first I've heard him point the finger. It looks like he's like crying, doesn't he? If you guys are brand new here, I'm watching Billy right now, chit chat. Same old, it feels like. Peyton, you're saying Mullen was better. Look, here's the thing, dude. I've heard we've said that plenty of times. Mullen should have stayed. Mullen was better. But I know when Mullen was here last year, we were all bitching about it. And then last year when Emory Jones was playing, we were all saying we should have started Anthony. Like, when does it end? Right? We're just gonna keep saying the next person's better, or we should have stuck with that. Well, guess what? That's what we get. Because I know all of us, even the ones in here saying we should have kept Mullen, were calling for his head last year, saying it's time for you to go. You suck. You don't know what to do. Put Anthony in. Remember, we all thought we were the man last year. Anthony should have started this and that, all that. I know every last one of you were in the chat doing that. I was too. I'm not not pointing any fingers. And now we're here in the same boat, wishing we were backwards, wishing we still had Mullen, right? It's that mentality of you always wishing it's green on the other side, but it's green where you water it. And at some point we had to set back and take an L instead of just keep calling for heads. And that's where I get annoyed because it's like it's just like this vicious circle that just keeps happening of, well, we should have done this and we should have done that. We shouldn't have let Emory transfer. We should have kept him. Nobody was saying that six weeks ago. When we beat Utah, ain't a word about Mullen, ain't a word about Emory Jones. We were roasting Mullen. We were roasting him. So I don't want to hear none of that. I don't. I really don't. I really don't. He brought us back to relevancy. I mean, we had 1 year with Kyle Trask. Look, I feel like all teams are going to have those years where teams kind of just sink into place. But outside of that, I mean, it wasn't like we were just like the man, myth, or the legend. Look, I agree, Peyton. We did have one bad year. It seemed pretty aggressive for us to fire Mullen after the one bad year. But I think there was more to it with the recruiting aspect of things. They realized of like, I mean, look, it's now starting to play to fruition of like, well, that obviously had an impact. The lack of recruiting is now catching up, and people probably saw the writing on the wall and were like, we got to get this guy out of here because he's put this place into a dumpster fire. He's not going to be able to coach himself out of a wet paper bag with the recruiting that's been happening. So a lot of people came out too, said he's kind of toxic, he was a dickhead. A lot of things going on that we don't know behind the scenes that I think that, like, yeah, it was one bad season, but there's more to it than just the one bad season. But it's easy to say if, then, or what or but about it. But we'll be live tomorrow. We'll go live tomorrow morning, Sunday. So you can make sure you guys tune in for that, where we break it down a little more. This is obviously more of a fan reaction, where you kind of just, it's a raw dog it style, is what we like to call it. But get some rest, boys. It's gonna be a long season. We got a few games left against South Carolina, A&M, Vandy, and Florida State, and South Carolina got rolled today by Mizzou, who we beat. Florida State looks good. Texas A&M, you never know what team's going to show up, and for the love of God, hopefully we can beat some Vandy. But the other thing too, I mean, outside of it, we have 4 losses. We have a loss against the number 1 team in the country, the number 2/3 team in the country, possibly the number 1 team in the country, the number 15 team in the country right now, and who was our other loss to? Oh, LSU. And we lost to LSU, who's also a top 25 ranked team in the country, with Brian Kelly. But those are 4, like we're freaking out. Look at the 4 teams we've lost to. I mean, let's be honest. 4 top end teams. And the LSU one is the only one you can say, well, they shouldn't have been there, and they're doing way better. They're 1 year with 1 coach, and sure, I'll give you that W. So 3 of the 4 losses are to top tier teams. That's plain and simple. That's facts. But we'll see you guys tomorrow. Get some sleep, get some rest. I know I'm going to need it. Till next time, I'm Sheldon. See you, boys.